let's be honest, she's an Aggie, so she's going to crush it. She is going to absolutely do everything, above board. Everything's going to be awesome just because she graduated from Texas A&M University. No, we're not doing Johnny Manziel here. No, sir. Have the time to listen to me whine as we launch episode number 87 of the Promo UPFront Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Bill Petrie. With me, as always, the original space cowboy himself, the one and only Kirby Hasseman. Kirby, how in the outer space are you today?
Dude, I like that title. I'll live with that one. I'd love to be a space cowboy. Things are going well, man. Just trying to, keep all the plates spinning. The weather's starting to break, and from what I've seen, I feel like the opportunities are as well. I don't know how the rest of the industry is seeing it, but I found that our activity does mirror, suppliers when I talk to it. So my hope is that things are going well for other folks who are listening as well. So how are you, man?
I think I'm good. Feeling great. The weather's starting to warm up, which I know you love. I know you really love. And, some people do call you the original space cowboy. Some people call you Maurice. Who knows who people call you? Woo, woo. But, I was thinking about the pandemic. We're coming on the other side of it. And one of the many things to really come out of the pandemic, Kirby, and one that really relates to our industry is that clients are now much more thoughtful and intentional when it comes to branded apparel, right? People work from home sometimes they work at work, sometimes they're going between, a lot more flexibility there. And this is where our good pals over at Blue Generation come in, because they've been intentional about creating smart, fashion-forward, and cost-effective apparel collections that are going to really wow any client. They've got 4 collections. The Essentials Collection, which is kind of their best-selling and cost-effective apparel solutions. The Executive Collection, and as you might expect, luxurious style for the boardroom or after hours. Nice. The Studio Collection, ladies compilation of work leisure apparel, and then the Untucked Collection. We've talked about that on the podcast, Kirby. Fashion forward wear that looks great just about everywhere. I don't know about you, Kirby. I absolutely love how Blue Generation makes it so easy to find complementary pieces in an industry that has been for years. The women's complimentary piece was a smaller sized men's piece, right? Yes, exactly. I know you feel the same way.
No, I totally do. And I think that, there are still suppliers in our industry who focus, very heavily on men's, and they occasionally have some women's styles. And then what I've also found is that there are some suppliers who are doing a better job, but it's like, oh, it's a totally women's collection. So it's like, I don't know how you are, but a lot of the folks I work with have both. And so the idea that we can put a collection together and make it easy on putting something that not only fits the budget, but it's also fashion forward as well is really, really helpful.
Well, it really speaks to Blue Generation's long and rich history of being in the garment district in New York City, being part of the retail industry for years and years and years. Usually I say I could say it better than you. I really couldn't have said it any better than you, Kirby, this time.
Well, thanks.
So, you bet. To check out these amazing pieces of apparel, head over to bluegeneration.com/collections. You're not going to be sorry you did. They really are the apparel intersection of retail and promo. Kirby, you are a lucky space cowboy today, because you have, this is one of our favorite podcasts. We do this every year. I think we've done it every year back when we used to call this show Unscripted, and now it's morphed into something very kind of different, quite a bit different here at Promo UPFront. What have we done every year, Kirby, to kick off March?
Yeah, I think every year we are both very excited to talk about the Powerhouse Women of Promo. When we started doing this, it really wasn't just a place where we talked about, where it talked about and celebrated the many amazing women in our industry exclusively, right? Like there's lists that talk about content. There's lists that are, the Power 50, and there's some great lists out there, but there wasn't one, at least at the time, that was exclusively focused on the Powerhouse Women of Promo. And so that's what we're all about today, right?
That's right. So Kirby is going to lead us off. So a little peek behind the curtain, a little look into how the sausage is made. We came up with specific categories and shared them with each other so we could prepare. We don't know who we're selecting in each category. I believe there's 7 of them, and we have kind of the person who we think, quote unquote, won the category, and then the person who's right there, right top of mind as well. One thing we talked about real quick before we started the podcast, Kirby, if I can go ahead and share this. These are not winners and losers. I don't think either Kirby or I feel comfortable enough to say we are in charge. We get to decide who is the winner here. These are people who are making us notice. These are people we admire. These are people who are driving things forward, and they happen to be women. And what a great thing we get to do. It's a fun thing for us to recognize them. So Kirby, lead us the way.
So you want to start with distributor woman to watch? Is that where you'd like to begin?
Let's do it.
Okay,
sure.
Cool.
It's your dime, your dance floor.
All right, cool. So again, as Bill said, we have several different categories, and I really love what you said about, look, these are just people who have got our attention, and we want to shout them out and celebrate them. Take it, please, in the spirit that is intended. So, so under my honorable mention, and by the way, the other side of this really quickly is that I don't remember who I recognized last year. So I'm doing my best to keep it fresh, but if there's overlap, my apologies. So the honorable mention this year, Shannon Walsh Laredo. Shannon is not only one of those people who she's a ton of personality on social media. She is, I love following her. She also does fitness training, and she's sort of an inspiration there, but also just love how she very authentically shares herself through social media. I know she's involved with a regional as well. So the one that popped into my head for honorable mention, one who's getting my attention in that way, is Shannon Walsh Laredo.
Okay, my honorable mention for the distributor woman to watch. And again, we intentionally chose woman to watch, not of the year. For we're not in charge enough. Yeah, mine was Mandy Clay from Walker Clay. I thought about Shannon Laredo. I love Shannon. What Mandy Clay is doing, she's really involved in the NFT discussions. I've seen that a lot. She's made some great hires with Javier Melendez.
Right.
And really building something, I think, pretty special up at Walker Clay. So I had Mandy Clay as my runner-up. My woman to watch, though, is Johanna Gottlieb. And I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
And I had the advantage. So I actually keep a list of all these notes. I have them from podcast 1. So I was able to very easily go back and be intentional. Because I had the records to try not to pick the same people. Right. But before I did that, I just went top of mind. Johanna is at Halo Access Promotions, powered by Halo, I should say. She is one of the brightest, one of the most thoughtful, and one of the most visible people out in the industry in terms of what she does. But then the best thing about her is she's also one of the co-chairs of Promo Kitchen, being back in Promo Kitchen now as a chef. I came back after a 2-year hiatus. She has done, along with Kate Plummer, done a great job. But I want to single out Johanna because one of the things she does, running a not-for-profit, being a board chair, is a very difficult thing. And I will tell you, she's always optimistic, always sees the better side of things. And I absolutely love that. So Johanna Gottlieb is my woman to watch on the distributor side this year, Kirby.
Love it. Okay. And boy, no arguments with me on that one. I have a feeling
there's not been much arguments here.
Yeah. You're gonna probably hear that name later from me as well. But my distributor woman to watch this year is Mandy Rudd. Mandy, good friend of the program. But Mandy, from my perspective, has sort of taken a step forward on just her being out in front and being involved with the Promo Cares movement and being like the Sleep In for Good initiative. And, the reality of it is she has been involved with not-for-profits in a bunch of different ways, with Big Slick and many other ways that way. But at the end of the day, the biggest compliment I can give to anyone, and it's one of the things I say about my wife. So one of the things I would say about Mandy is she makes me want to be better. She makes me want to be a better human. And so my distributor woman to watch is Mandy Rudd.
Awesome. I love that. Can't argue with that. Mandy's a great person, great friend, friend of the show. Can't argue with that at all. All right, Kirby, now we are on the woman supplier to watch. I'm going to start off with my runner-up. My runner-up is Ellie Bath from Logo JoJo. She has catapulted herself into just about every conversation in the industry. She has a really unique TikTok branding that she does, always fun, always very lighthearted. Always on brand. One of the things she's very good at is always being on brand, and that's not an easy thing to do. So the way she puts herself out there, a very much a devil may care attitude. This is me. This is who I am. She's done some great things with Logo JoJo. So I'm going to say Ellie Bath from Logo JoJo with my runner-up.
I love that one. And what just as a side note, and Ellie would say this, I just had a conversation with her this week. She's also a baby boomer and who has embraced social media in a way that a lot of boomers don't. And so kudos to her. I love that one.
My age is a state of mind, people. State of mind.
That's right. So my honorable mention is Meg Erber. Meg is not only a great rep and leader at S&S Activewear, but I just love the way she's leading the way on the conversations of VR and NFTs in the industry and really trying to sort of reshape the future of what the industry is going to look like through that lens. And so again, another person who's inspiring me to try and learn and grow. And so Meg Erber is my honorable mention. And I guess
argument there. She's awesome. She's awesome.
And so just to spin it forward, my selection is Lindsay Davis, supplier to watch, woman to watch. So Lindsay with Reigning Rose. Lindsay is another. So it's funny. My introduction to the expo this year was walking around the corner and seeing the expo live sort of thing going on at the expo with the big giant screen. And Lindsay was on the screen and she was just captivating, talking about not only what is going on with PPAI and her role there, but also with Reigning Rose and the team she's built there. She's just one of those people who's built a bit of a super team, and a lot of that credit goes to Lindsay. So that's my woman.
No question. Lindsay, I think she might have been on my list last year. I had the honor of serving with her on the rack board. She's a tremendous, tremendous human being. As skilled as she is in business, she's doubly as nice. Just a tremendous human being. Great choice. My supplier woman to watch, Brittany Frise from Hersh Gift. So a lot of people may not know Brittany. I do. She is just a tremendously bright individual. And so she is running sales and marketing over at Hersh Gift.
Love it.
She's made a great hire in Joshua Pospisil. And I think she's really looking to take, I can already see it. Not that Hersh did need, Hersh is doing great. Yeah. She's going to take it to a level. I can see it. She's going to take it to a level that we haven't seen before.
And if I may be so bold, it's funny, for a long time, the reality of it is when it comes to distributors, so many times you make choices about suppliers based on whether they're top of mind. You get a request and you immediately think of who's my one or two go-tos. And one of the things that's really, they've made a big impact on is all of a sudden, I feel like I see Hersh Gift everywhere. And that speaks to what you're talking about. Cool.
Absolutely. Awesome.
All right, well, let's go on to the service provider woman to watch this year. You want me to lead this one? Yep. Okay. So honorable mention, this may seem self-serving based on the podcast it's in, but it is one of those where Kelsey Cunningham comes to mind. Obviously, your partner as a founding person with Brand of 8, taking on roles, that manage social media. I think Kelsey sometimes does things that are behind the scenes a little bit more than you. But because I get the chance to podcast with you and we're good buddies, so I get to hear about a lot of her contributions. And so when I think of service provider women who are crushing it, Kelsey Cunningham comes to mind for me.
Yeah, I won't obviously disagree with that. I mean, people don't see, I tend to be kind of out there and big time talker and all that, but people don't see the things behind the scenes that she does that make us work.
Right.
And so I appreciate that. And I'm sure she will as well, but she's amazing. Just killing it. Just killing it.
Love it.
My service provider woman to watch runner up is Eliza Begay. She is brand new. So I'm taking a leap of faith a little bit here. She is the new social media producer at ASI. Been there a week. Okay.
Okay.
But I just saw an interview with her. On the social angle, ASI social show with Vin Driscoll. She's a former social media manager at Chick-fil-A, and she is, I got to tell you, watching that, she is sharp as a tack. So we need to pay attention to what ASI is going to do on the social media side. Melissa Newman crushed it. We all cried a little bit when she left the industry.
Right.
And I think Eliza is going to be, take it the next step. Melissa certainly would have done that if she were still here. She's doing other things. Eliza Begay.
Love that. And what I love is, we're talking about to watch, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's a perfect sort of segue into that particular person. Love it.
Yeah. My number one, though, my one woman to really, really watch, Ashley McCune, who is running Facilis Group. Okay. I know Ashley just this much. I've worked with her briefly on a couple things years ago. She is the president over at Facilis, taking over for Chuck Fandos. She is incredibly bright. She definitely would be in the running to run my business, that's for sure. And that's one we'll get to in a little bit, little sneak peek. But Ashley McCune, I think, is really taking Facilis to that next level of, they're more than just a service provider. They're more than a buying group. They're really becoming a destination for a lot of distributors. And Ashley McCune and the work her and her team do have a lot to do with that. Part of her, one of the things they did, they brought in the entire Live 2 community to Facilis, right? I mean, so the big things going on over at Facilis. So Ashley McCune is my number one service provider woman to watch, Kirby.
I love it. I love it. My service provider woman to watch is Kate Mayswitch from commonsku. I think, again, sort of the theme behind this one is the brains behind the scenes a lot of the time. Obviously, Mark and Catherine Graham do an amazing job at commonsku. But I think if you see some of their marketing, I believe she's a marketing manager. Forgive me if my title's wrong, but she's also the brains and the organization behind a lot of the events that they put on. And if you have attended a SKUCon or a SKU camp, which you and I have been blessed to do, man, those things run so incredibly smoothly. And, she just does an amazing job of sort of organizing that, creating a vision for that. And then just, you and I talk a lot about it. Ideas sometimes are shit. It's really about the execution. Kate is all about the execution of those. So Kate Mayswitch is my supplier woman to watch.
Love it. 100%. Ideas are cheap. Everybody's got them, but it's executing on those ideas. And Kate does a great job of that. And in the true Canadian way, she is one of the nicest humans you'll ever meet in the world. Truly a caring person. Awesome. All right, Kirby, let's move forward. Woman on the rise.
Yep.
So these are people brand new. I probably could have put Eliza Begay here, but my honorable mention is Skylar Hasseman. Skylar Hasseman, because she she was doing a lot of things in dance. Yep. She worked on a cruise ship as one of the troupe on a Carnival cruise ship, and then the pandemic hit, and she reassessed what she wanted to do and moved back to Coshocton, and is now working for Hasseman Marketing. We've talked about her a little bit on the podcast. What I know about her, I've spent some time with her. I've had dinner with her and her fiance, her husband. Thank you. Couldn't remember.
Yeah, no worries.
But anyway, they're great. She's a great person. She's very bright, and she is learning how to sell in one of the most challenging entire environment and times ever. And she's learning from one of the best. And so learning from you.
Amy's pretty great.
Learning from Amy. I was going to go that joke, but then I'm like, I always make fun of Kirby. No, learning from you and learning from your team. She's in great hands. So I am expecting great things from one Skylar Hasseman. That's my honorable mention for Woman on the Rise.
Yeah, thank you. That's exciting. I can't wait to share that with her. She's doing a great job with the sales side. She also, it's funny how quickly we've evolved to sort of having me make a lot of decisions in a window to huddling up with Dustin and Skylar on every decision and going, hey, what do you think about this from a marketing perspective? So thanks. Honorable mention for me, Sarah Whitaker from Williams Advertising. To me, this is, again, just the idea of people who I'm sort of viewing this as people who I've seen sort of coming out of the ashes, at least to me. Again, this is just my perspective on it. I met Sarah through an industry event, and in doing so, we sat, there was some roundtable discussions, and I was immediately struck by just her presence and her thoughts and sort of her creativity. And then, as is the case, once you do that, then you connect on social media and you see what people are doing. And I've seen what Sarah is doing on social, specifically LinkedIn, which is where we're most connected. And I just love sort of the voice she brings to the promo industry and the branding industry. And so Sarah Whitaker from Williams Advertising.
Great. I've never met Sarah, so I am taking your word for it, but that's awesome. Awesome. Who is your number one woman on the rise, Kirby?
Right. Sorry. So another common SKU person, Allie Brunton. Allie Brunton, I think she just got a promotion, as a matter of fact, so she truly is on the rise, but she was sort of the voice behind a lot of their social media across all platforms. I saw the one podcast where it was like Melissa Newman, Allie Brunton, and Taylor Borst, where all three of them were interviewed. And I immediately got that podcast and gave it to Skylar and said, listen to what these folks are doing. They're doing it right. I've just been so impressed with Allie, and just, it's hard not to at least admire the social media prowess of Common SKU. And I know Allie's a big voice behind that.
A huge voice behind that. She's done a great job and continues to do a great job. I think that's a tremendous selection. My choice for Woman on the Rise is one Morgan Corey over at SNS Afterwear. Kind of comes from promo royalty. Her dad, Paul Corey, who you and I have known for years and years and years, despite his weird affiliation with both the Ohio State University and the University of Texas, which I'll never understand. But Paul's a great guy. Her sister is Megan Corey, who's over at HIT. And so Morgan's over SNS. And I got to tell you, she's killing it. If you follow her on social media, she really has a lot of like fashion type approach to the way she markets herself. And she is because she comes from such good stock, she really understands this industry, and she really does a phenomenal job of connecting with her customers. So Morgan Corey from SNS Activewear would be my woman on the rise.
Cool. All right. You want to go with the Trailblazer? You want to lead the way on that one?
Sure. So let me explain this one. So this is one we call it the Woman Trailblazer Janelle Nevins Award. Janelle Nevins was one of the real trailblazers in the promotional products industry. I had the honor to work alongside her for several years at Summit Marketing many, many years ago. Unfortunately, Janelle passed away about 5 or 7 years ago, but she broke into the good old boys club. She is the one who sold Coca-Cola promotional products for years and years and years, mentored so many people in the industry that have been on any list, Sarah Webb and a lot of other people like that. So the woman trailblazer for me, the runner up, and this is a hard one. So this is the honorable mention, and it's Charity Gibson. She could easily be the trailblazer, and I think she is a trailblazer. But the reason I bring Charity in is Charity is still she's only like 40 or 41 or 39. She's gonna kill me.
She's 29.
Exactly her age. She's young, but she's been in the industry, it seems like, forever. And she is so conscientious about connecting people, answering questions when people need help, whether it's the company she's working for or not. She is very active still in Promo Kitchen. She's very active on social. She's everywhere. And I think she's blazed a path for women to be outspoken, right? One of the horrible things in our society is that in business, if a woman's outspoken, there's usually shitty names attached to that person. Whereas if a man was the same way, it's different. I think Charity's done a great job in changing that perspective in the industry, and I love that. So that's my honorable mention for Trailblazer of the Year.
So I'm so glad you brought up Charity, but I'm going to give you my honorable mention, which is Johanna Gottlieb. And again, for some of the reasons that you talked about already, the idea that, she started with Access and sort of grew that, then she's become, at least for me, sort of the voice of how to do sales right. And then the idea of, taking on Promo Kitchen, which was already sort of going down a path in a good way, but making it truly her own. I had a chance to work with her when she first came on to Promo Kitchen, and I just think, again, you talk about trailblazers. If there's anybody I want to follow down a path, it would be Johanna Gottlieb. So that would be my
awesome. That's a great honorable mention.
Honorable mention, my selection, Charity Gibson. It would be for exactly the same reasons you just talked about. I think, again, she's one of those people who she does a really good job, I think, of balancing being front, right? Because she does a great job of personal branding and doing social media and sort of showing the way on social media. But she also does a lot of behind the scenes. She manages other people's brands. She does mentoring. I was just having a conversation with another woman on this list where they were like, well, Charity said I should do this, so I just did it and it worked. So I say she kind of does the both, in front of the scenes and behind the scenes really well. 100%. I think Charity Gibson, is a trailblazer.
Obviously, I'm not going to disagree with that, and I'm not going to elaborate because I already did, and I don't want to make this a 2-hour-long podcast. Fair. So my selection for the woman, Janelle Nevins, woman trailblazer, is Rosalie Marcus. She has been in the industry for a long time, and as far as I know, she is the first and really only woman out there teaching people specifically how to sell promotional products. You have David Blaze, you have a lot of other men out there, but she's the only woman doing it, and she's still vibrant. She is still viable. She's still visible. And I can't think of another V word to give to her, but she's very, very, she's quite an amazing woman. And
that's a great one.
I've had the honor to talk to her and meet with her many, many times. And I got to tell you, I always walk away. Sometimes we say, oh, they're way too mature. They've been selling too long. They don't get new things. Rosalie does. And, she has a great way. She has a great propensity to mix old school methods that are tried and true and they do work, but also merging them with a new approach that are consistent with how things are today. So Rosalie Marcus was my choice.
I love it. We've got 2 more to go. I think, to be honest with you, Bill, I think this will be all we probably cover, unless you want to do a quick one at the end. So so the next one is most creative woman. And so my honorable mention is a person you'd already mentioned, and it's Ellie Bath. As you mentioned, she sort of shot to the top of a bunch of lists. She was on Dale's list of the Online 18, and you mentioned her earlier. And for exactly the same reasons, I have her on most creative, because she's allowed herself to go, you know what? I don't care if I feel silly. I am going to go out there and be myself and have some fun with it. She and I talked about her using her son as an inspiration for that. And I think that the stuff she's putting out there is it's fun and very creative. So Ellie Bath.
Yeah. My honorable mention was Jessica Gibbons-Rausch from Trend on Brand. She's very, very creative. I'm working with her. She's helping out with a education program I'm going to be rolling out through Promo Kitchen. And she just really has a unique approach on things. And I really enjoy her perspective. So she was my runner up. My most creative woman, though, who and this is a little self-serving, it's Kelsey Cunningham. And again, people don't see what she does, but what Kelsey does and the way we work together, and again, people don't see it. I tend to be out there. I tend to be all over the place. She absolutely has these kernels and wonderful ideas and allows them to blossom and really grow into something very, very special. It's something our clients love. It's something I love. So, people don't get to see her process, don't get to experience it. So it's not self-serving as much as it's more of a recognition moment for her. She is absolutely the most creative woman I've ever worked with in my life. And people just don't get to see that enough. And watching someone blossom into that ownership of who they are has been a really cool thing for me to experience over the last 4 or 5 years.
I love it. And again, having a little taste of that, I certainly agree with her level of creativity. So that's a good one. My creative woman selection is Taylor Borst. And again, obviously I don't see all of what goes on when it comes to ASB and all of their social media stuff, but I love what she's doing on TikTok. I think she just has she's a great writer. She does a good job on video platforms outside of TikTok. And so she's one of those people. Obviously, again, she skyrocketed to the top of the list of Dale Denham's Online 18, totally rightfully so. Because when I think of creativity, it doesn't mean you've created some sort of crazy out there thing. It is you've used a platform and created a solution or a promotion within that is compelling. And so in that way, I would say Taylor Borst would be my selection there.
Love that. She is absolutely a force to be reckoned with. No question about it. No question about it. All right. Last category, and I think might be my favorite one, Kirby.
Yep.
The woman you'd hire to run your company. So if you had to step away from your company, and the edict is you have to hire a female. You just have to.
Yeah.
You have to. So I'm going to leave it to you first.
Okay, cool. So the person who in my honorable mention spot is Sarah Webb. Sarah, I love, again, I know Sarah a little bit. I know you know her a lot better than I do. But again, in my interactions, love what she's one of those people who you can tell is a consummate learner. She's constantly attending conferences and reading and just trying to like grow her not only her business, but her own personal knowledge. And I aspire to that. I love that. And she's just a person who is, just contagious, right? Like she's just a person that you want to be around. And so I would love that if I needed to step away, that she would lead my team. So that would be my honorable.
That's a great one. That's a great one. Sarah's amazing. My runner-up is Sandra Kelly, who runs Prestige Promotions up in Michigan.
Yeah, Detroit.
A lot of people may not know Sandra, but she is one of the brightest people.
Yeah, she's great.
If you've ever watched or attended a Wild Wednesday webinar or any of those learning labs that they do, and it's about I think about 18 or 20 different regionals that actually participate in this now. She runs that. Yeah. She is also on the board of MIPA, the Michigan Promotional Products Association. She is such a lovely human, and she's bright. She's very smart. I've had conversations with her. What I love, one of my favorite things, and I'm doing a learning lab here in about a week or two. When I get to hang out with Sandra for about 15 minutes, half hour before I actually go live, just talking to her and the way she approaches her business, the way she takes care of her clients, the way she really takes care of the people who work for her, but also her clients, I would feel very comfortable her running my organization, no question. So Sandra Kelly from Prestige Promotions would be my honorable mention. My woman who I would pick to run my company, someone I've known for 20 years, but haven't worked with in a long time, Dawn Olds from Halo.
Yeah, okay.
Now, I have known Dawn forever. She is now chair of the PPAI board, but at Halo, she's very involved in processes and procedures. She is certified Six Sigma. She is incredibly warm, though. She doesn't have that. A lot of people who own and run processes in organizations tend to be very cold and tend to be very structured. And she is structured, but she's not cold. She's a very warm, engaging human. I'd be comfortable her going on client calls. I'd be comfortable her having hard conversations with both clients and employees. I would pick Dawn Olds to run my organization. Obviously, I'd pick Kelsey, but I mean, come on. She's my business partner. I'm not going to double dip.
Fair. So the one award that I remember from last year was this one. And last year I had said Catherine Graham. And so Catherine Graham still stands and still one of those people. Of course. In the interest of picking a new name for this, the winner, as it were, my selection would be Brittany David. Brittany David is the Chief Revenue Officer at Snugs and of course now Sweeta. She's just one of those people. We've said this a lot, and I value, and I think you value, kindness and being a good human. And so these are the reasons that they bubble to the list. We're not just saying that's something that we value in them. And Brittany certainly is in that, but I just find her to be very progressive. When you look at the team that has been assembled there at Snugs, when it comes to content marketing, when it comes to sales, like that all falls under the purview of Brittany David. And so if I were to turn over my organization to somebody, I'd want them to build a dream team like that. And I can't think of anybody better to do that than Brittany David. So that would be my selection.
Yeah. I believe she was my choice last year.
Sounds right.
She was 100% my choice. Everything you said, 100% accurate. Plus, let's be honest, she's an Aggie, so she's going to crush it. She is going to absolutely do everything, above board. Everything's going to be awesome just because she graduated from Texas A&M University. No, we're not doing Johnny Manziel here. No, sir. So those are our selections. We know we left off people. We're not going to have another topic today. We're just not. We could. Next week you can tune in for the middle-aged white guy list. Joking aside, this is something we really look forward to. I don't want to speak for Kirby, but I'm going to speak for Kirby. This is something that's fun. It is really important for us to recognize these progressive women who are just killing it in our industry. And they're the ones who also lead the way. It's not just the dudes.
Yeah. And I think I love doing this list. And I think I think the way that we grow in, whether it's gender, color, creed, is to actively look for people who are doing a great job and calling it out. And so this is, as Bill said, this is a really fun one. And so I'm glad we do this one each year.
And me too. And so for anybody who's listening, it's up to each organization to be intentional about finding women, finding and giving them all the tools they need to succeed, and then making sure they're visible. And that's great. And we work with a lot of organizations, and one of the organizations I do work with clearly that does this is Blue Generation. And that's no joking aside. And like we talked about, they have assembled these great collections. They truly, truly have great company, great people behind the company, family owned, 3 generations. Can't beat that. I love that. And they've assembled these smart, fashion forward, cost effective collections. They're going to wow any client. The Essentials collection, the Executive collection, the Studio collection, and the Untucked collection. They've made it so easy to find complementary pieces, and it's going to really knock the socks off your clients. So you want to learn more? Of course you do. Head over to bluegeneration.com/collections. Look at what they're doing and share that with your clients, because they're going to be pretty impressed that you are that thoughtful and intentional as Blue Generation is. That's right.